Welcome back to No Man's Sky on Gaming with Big B. I am Big B, and when we last left off was actually the end of my 2-hour live stream. Those of you that watched the live stream know that I left off in kind of a state of frustration. I had warped, during the live stream, I had warped away from my home system without really fully exploring it because I was just simply following basically the tutorial or the beginner path. And ended up outside my home system, in a system that I really wasn't terribly fond of. It definitely had some good resources in it, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. I really hadn't finished exploring where I wanted to explore. So I spent quite a bit of time on the galactic map. As you know, if you watched the previous episode that aired right before this one, which was the last of my live stream, I actually cut several large portions of it because it was basically just 30 minutes of me fighting with the galactic map. One of the major problems with this particular game, or at least UI, they need to work on the map functions. It's a little too automated and a little too, takes too much control out of your hand. You can tell it's very much designed for console. So hello, Mr. Sentinel. So after spending some time, now I did continue to play. Ironically enough, after I finished my live stream, I stopped my recording, stopped my live stream, and took a little break and decided, all right, well, you know what, I wasn't done yet. I wanted to play more, so I spent the next 3 hours playing. I finished up my live stream at about 12:30, and I didn't get to bed about 3:30, almost 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. So you can tell this game, despite its flaws, really gripped me. It's just so much fun, so much fun. I apologize for the boring view here, but there's a reason why I'm looking at the ground. Hello, ships flying in the night sky. So I spent several hours, after obviously I went down to sleep, and I played some more the next day. And basically played over the weekend. I probably put in about maybe 8 hours worth of play over the previous weekend. And then I also spent time with gun forums, looking up some of the problems that the game was having. One of the things that I was able to do, if you see here, I'll go into graphics settings. I was able to, now it says on foot and in flight is 100 and 100. It's actually, I think, a little higher than that, but I put it up as high as I could. I put my max FPS up as high as I could. I turned off VSync. There's an INI file where you can turn off the G-Sync, which is for NVIDIA video cards, and I have, I'm all AMD. On my system, I have an AMD FX8350 processor and an R9 290 video card, and I'm one video card, not two. I'm not running a twin card setup here. Although I certainly could. I have the room in my case, but I'm not at this moment. So I turned off G-Sync because that causes issues with AMD cards. And there was definitely a lot of stuttering problems I was having on the live stream. And once I did all this, it really helped. I mean, there's still occasionally get a stutter. Again, this game's not well optimized for PC. It was, unfortunately, the PC port was not really as good as it could be. It has issues. So, it's a bit of a problem. But after that, I also spent one of the things I discovered on the forums, is because I had so much frustration with the map, was I was going to do a bug report, because I noticed there's a function in the galactic map where you hit tab, and the tab will show you the places you've been. It's scan for it's basically scan for discovery. Show me the things that I've already found, but it doesn't work. You hit it and hit it and hit it, nothing happens. Well, what I realized when I went on the forums to check out the bug reporting was apparently they actually have the wrong key listed there. It's not the tab key, it's the X key. If you hit the X key, that will allow you to jump around for all the points of interest, places you've been, things you've seen on the map. So you just keep hitting tab and it just cycles through them. And lo and behold, I found my home planet again. In fact, you'll notice here, look where it says, I'm back on Big Bishonia. And obviously it's nighttime. I am back at my home planet. So I managed to make it all the way back here once I figured out the proper function of the warp map. And excuse my phone making noises there. So we got that all straightened out. And so here I am back on my home planet, and I've been spending time running around doing missions, just collecting materials. One of the things that I was able to do was, ta-da, upgrade my ship to the Hatsumote S70, which is a very cool looking ship. I call it the... Oh, yeah. Oh, they need to fix that. That's not low, that's just at 75%. So I call this the Dragonfly, because it kind of looks like very insectoid. It's got this cool little tripod landing gear. Nice thing about this thing is it lands much more precisely because you can see down. You have a better field of view with this dome, and you can actually see down a little bit more, so you can actually land much more precisely than I could with the the other ship, whatever it was called, the one that looked like an X-Wing or the X-Wing's predecessor, which again I'm going to forget and get wrong. Headhunter, the Z90 Headhunter. That's what it looked like. That's not what its name was, but that's what it looked like. That thing had such a long nose, you couldn't see down over it. So you couldn't really tell when you're doing vertical landing, you'd miss and you'd end up landing way short. It was a problem. So I bought this, and this I had saved up a ton of money. I mean, we're talking hours and hours and hours and hours, which with what was essentially the newbie ship, because as you'll remember, that particular ship was the pre-order gift, and it was basically one half step up from your stock ship. It had two things the stock ship doesn't have. It had the one extra storage slot, and it had a warp drive built into it, so you didn't have to build the warp drive. But other than that, it was identical to the stock ship in every other way. Was not impressive in any way. Had the same guns, had the same mining beam, had the same laser cannon. Everything else was the same. The only thing extra it had was a warp drive and one extra slot. So it was a slight upgrade, and that took me a long, long way. I mean, I have a good 10 hours into the game now, and I still had not upgraded the ship, and it was about 8.5, 9 hours before I finally said, all right, let's upgrade. And I started looking for one, and I spent a lot of time searching for one. That is, the way you search for a ship is you go to one of the beacons, you search for transmission. You put in your what is this? See, this is 19 slots, so that's a big upgrade. Go to my exosuit here. You create one of these, the bypass chip. And you put a bypass chip in, and it'll give you the location of either crashed ships or an observatory. And then in the observatory there'll be a little terminal. It looks like HAL 9000, the little stalk with a red eye on it, and you can do a simple math puzzle, and it will often take you to the location of a crashed ship. Not always, but often, probably about 75% of the time. You're either going to get directly to maybe half the time. You're either going to get directly to a crashed ship, or you're going to go through an observatory to a crashed ship. And the crashed ship is either going to be one step less than your ship, exactly the same as your ship, but maybe looks different, or one step up from your ship. And I actually found two ships that were a step up from my ship, but they both looked like crap. They were ugly as sin. One of them actually had what looked like a little arm coming out one side with a big ball on the end. Looked like it was like a bro fist, or the Black Panther fist. And I'm like, I am not flying around in the bro fist ship. So even though it was a step up from what I had, I said nope, and I just scavenged what I could from the site and left it. And so eventually I ended up just straight up buying this ship from a trader. He landed, I'm like, what is that? That is a cool looking ship. So I had it. I had more than enough money at that point, and I bought it. So that's my upgrade. So I was thinking, flying around with it a while. I keep maxing out on it, and I kept thinking, maybe it's time to maybe look for another new ship. Let's just see what's out there, right? Maybe I'll get lucky and find something really awesome. So I did a transmission. It took me to an observatory. Now remember, I'm on my starting planet. Took me to an observatory, and the observatory gave me the little math problem thing, and it showed me the location of a crashed ship, and it described, the recording has the sound of screaming and tearing metal, and this series of numbers, and you fix the puzzle and you do the series of numbers, and it takes you to the crash site. And so I flew in here and I landed right here. I got out, I'm looking around, and I walked over here, and the marker took me to the crash site where that dark mark is. But wait a minute, there's no ship here. Wait a minute, what's this red ball? This is my starting location. I heard my own crash distress signal and found my own original crash site. Right here. So I as soon as I realized what it was, I stopped what I was doing, I walked back over to my ship, I jumped in and jumped out to save it. And that's where we're picking up right now. Because I wanted, as those of you who followed through with the live stream, saw me start this whole adventure right here in the shadow of this big weird looking rock that looks like an engine port. These are the sentinels that I was fighting. There's my ugly flag, raggedy and blowing in the wind. Look, I have an Atlas pass. I can actually open this debris now. And I got some suspension fluid from it. And this, of course, see, I already opened this, so there's nothing there. These are all open, and I got them. I wasn't able to open that one before because I didn't have the Atlas pass. Now I have it, so I opened it. And look, interestingly enough, this respawned. So now I have another chance to rejoin the path of Atlas if I so desire. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I honestly didn't expect that. So here I am, back where I began, at the spot where I crashed my ship. You can actually see the shadow burned into the grass from where my ship was, and a little trail. And that must be, you can even see a gap in the trees over there where I must have come crashing down, bounced off there, skidded down here, and skidded to a stop right there. That's awesome. That is awesome in more ways than I can describe. The little details that they leave in here is really, honestly, even though they have all these technical problems, the little details are really, really, really what make up for it in this game. And here we are in the sun. The ship's flying by, and the sun is coming up on the place where I started out this whole game. That's awesome. And you can see my ship. Here's my new ship. And I have to say it is pretty darn cool. It's not a good fighting ship. It really isn't. One of the things I'm going to be doing, I've actually managed to get killed in this thing once already. I've been killed 3 times. So fortunately, when you die, you don't really lose anything. It spawns you in the nearest space. If you die out in space, it spawns you at the nearest space station with your ship in the dock, and you fly back to your death marker, and it picks up all the stuff that you drop. You don't even lose anything. But you do have the problem of stuff breaking. Now, in my starship, when I got... You can see here, my warp reactor Sigma is critically damaged. That got wrecked when I got attacked. So even though I respawned with a quote-unquote new ship, it still had the damage done to it. So this is how they punish you. Basically, they'll break something non-critical on your ship so that you have to spend time and effort repairing it. And this thing's expensive. Those dynamic resonators are expensive to get. And you can see I got plenty of iridium and plenty of copper. This is my #1 thing I'm going to repair. But I actually have a whole bunch of things that I want to upgrade and repair. I want to add some more things here. Down there. I want to put another thermal thing in here. I've got a multi-tool, which is absolutely freaking awesome. Look at this thing. This thing kicks butt. But I want to add some more stuff to the multi-tool, upgrade it a little bit. So, there's just a lot of stuff we're going to do. So that is what's on tap for tonight, basically, is collecting all of the remaining resources that I need. And then we're going to repair the ship, and we're going to start working on the upgrades that I want. I have everything written down. I actually totaled up everything that I'm going to need in order to get all of these upgrades and this one repair. And other than the dynamic resonator, which I'll probably have to go up to the space station and purchase, because I haven't been able to find them anywhere down here, I'm going to need, get this, 300 iron, 500 plutonium, 1,000 iridium, 100 carbon, no big deal. 200 zinc, so that's a lot of plucking plants. 350 chrysanite, which is this. I have 60 already, so 290. 100 iridium. Now, obviously, this does not. These totals don't count what I have in my stock already. This is just the math for all the parts that I need. 400 copper, which I have 205. 300 aluminum, which I have none of. 200 platinum. 150 nickel. I'll need 1 microdensity fabric, and I have plenty of those. As you can see, I was actually making these to make another of the dynamic resonators, which requires 4 microdensity fabrics. Also requires some other stuff too. Obviously, 1 dynamic resonator. I've decided not to build it. I'm just going to buy it. And then I need 5 aquaspheres, which are incredibly rare, and I probably won't be able to find them in this system. But for starters, the first thing I need is I need to repair my starship's warp reactor. So I need a dynamic resonator. So let's see. Oh, what is the state of my launch thrusters? Do we have... you know what? I need more plutonium. So let's go out and hunt some plutonium down. So one thing about my home world is it is very easy to survive on in that it doesn't have a lot of really dangerous... the climate's easy. Oh, that's copper. How much copper have I got? I've got... let's go to exosuit. Do I have any in the exosuit? No. Did I put anything... Okay. Wait, what are the zinc? Nope. Okay. So other than the zinc, this is all parts and saleables. Let's take that back, and we'll take... Okay. So I have 205 copper. I need 400. So you know what? As long as I'm here. Now this is a new tool. One of the things I discovered with the tools is that you can basically, you don't have to accept the stock tool layout. I'm going to stand up on top of this rock. You can basically, when you get a tool, you can just strip it. Strip everything off of it for their parts. And obviously, it's not going to give you back everything that that the parts are made out of. So, but often they'll have like stupid, dumb stuff on them. Like one of the stupidest parts that they have is the reflection beam. It's basically things. One is for the gun, and the other one is for the plasma launcher. And what it does is it causes the shots to bounce, which I honestly just don't see the need for that. I just want to shoot it when I want to shoot at it. I don't want to do trick shots, And I suppose that would be useful if we were fighting an indoor shooter with, regular walls and whatnot. But in an irregular outdoor setting, that's completely useless, and they're incredibly expensive. So I always strip those out, and that usually gives me material that I can use to make other stuff. Okay. Alright, so we got all that. That will take care of our iron needs. Oh, wow. We actually overdid ourselves there. We have 500 iron. So that iron is actually... Yeah, go away, you jerk. We're just going to dump it. Okay. So we're going to dump that iron, so we're set on the iron. Iron we're set on. Plutonium is going to fluctuate up and down a lot because we're using it a lot. Just move that. Can we move that into the... Oh, we can't. Good. Nope, can't move that. Alright, well, Iridium we have... Let's see, this is 170. Do we have any in our starship? Yes, we've got 500, so we got 670. We need a lot more. We need a lot more. So we're going to be going a while. We also... I don't know if we're going to need that or not. I might just sell the Radnox. Yeah, so we're going to need a lot more of that. Right now, we need plutonium. So we're going to just jog over here in this direction. Now, do I want to interact with the distress beacon? do I? Do I want to follow? Nah. You know what? I said screw you to Atlas before. I'll keep saying screw you to Atlas. We don't need no Atlas here. Alright, let's hop in the ship, shall we? Zook. Alright. And we should have enough to... Oh yeah. We've got enough to take off. Alright, so... Boom! Alright.